Chat UK. This is the right space to explore real-life issues affecting real people. We provide professional counseling to individuals, couples, organizations, schools, church, and others. Follow, share, subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Let's Chit Chat UK.
Great. Hi, Via. This is Pastor Cecile. We are back again, and this is Let's Chit Chat.
Oh, you're back.
Yes, we are back today on the studio. We are live on Let's Chit Chat. Thank you so much for watching, listening, following. And today I'm in the studio with two great ladies. Lady, do you like to introduce yourself? Jackie?
I'm Odile.
Odile?
Hi. Hi, my name's Jackie. I'm a counsellor. I'm working towards my accreditation. I'm also doing MSc psychology, and I'm happy to be here today. So hi.
Great. And we have a professional nurse, a health advocate, a great woman, Odile. Odile, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you on board. Lady, we are missing a man. We're missing Pastor Enoch. We are missing Richard. Hopefully, Pastor Enoch will join. Richard is not able to join today, but I'm sure he's watching and he's probably going to be commenting. So, Richard, we greet you. Pastor Enoch, we greet you wherever you are. So, today we have a great topic. Have you ever heard this saying? They say is mine. Who said? Who are they? Whose saying is yours? Were you not there when it was happening? Did you just heard it on passing on the road? Were you just somewhere sleeping by yourself, and somebody comes to accuse you that, hey, this child is definitely yours? You need to take accountability and responsibility. Many men out there like to say they said it's mine. So we are going to discuss a bit, going to want to hear your opinion on what will make a man run away from his child or his responsibility or from whatever he has done. What will make him actually think that he can escape that far and say they said it's mine? Lady, who's going to go first? They say it's mine. What do you think? That's the word today. They said it's mine. Lady? Odile?
Oh, well, I mean, that's an interesting topic. They said is mine. Who said is mine, and why they saying is yours? That's one question somebody need to ask. Why will somebody choose you if it's not you? So I think I find that a little bit a bit confusing because we live in a society where things are so well developed. So for me, a man who is doubting, if a woman comes and say, this is your child, I'm pregnant, and you're the father, and a man is doubting that, I, I mean, I find it a little bit irritating because there is, if it's not yours, then there must be something really big that the woman wants from you, whether you are a god or something. Because I don't really think any person that really have a brain who thinks that we will just go and say, oh, look, this child is yours when the child is not actually yours, knowing what the impact that can have in a child life. So for me, a man who is doubting a woman saying it, there must be something wrong somewhere.
Wow. I love that. There must be something wrong somewhere. And you said, whose sin is yours if you were not there? Why will you say they say it's yours? Well, Jackie, what do you think?
Oh, I just think it can be a very complicated subject because, on one hand, men that don't admit to the baby being there, and there could be various reasons. Maybe they're having an affair with a mistress, and they wasn't aware that that person was going to fall pregnant. There could be various reasons, really. A man doesn't want to own up to his own commitment, money. It could be quite a lot. So it's quite a broad subject, really, to talk about. Yeah.
Well, Jackie, when you said it could be money, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? I don't understand. It could be money.
I'm talking
Do you
about
mean
like
the woman wants
financially,
money or?
supporting a child. Obviously, maybe they don't want to be able to support that child and they want to just deny it and say, oh, let's go through the DNA. Let's have a DNA, which obviously takes time. And they might have another family to look after as well. Yeah.
So Jackie, let me just ask you this question, Nora. If they have another family and they know they're looking after that family, why would they pursue someone else up to the stage where a child will come? And then suddenly they remember, oops, by the way, I have another family. And what is that child got to do with that other family that you have? When you have obviously in the first place denied that family when you were pursuing that woman. So if you deny your family when you were pursuing that woman, when the child is now boops there, then is it the time to remember that, oops, by the way, I left the family behind? Odile, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you were saying because it's crazy. I think what I'm inclined to say here, men, forgive me if I'm wrong, is that I think we live in a society where, especially in England, men are getting away a lot with murder. They just know that if I said no, the woman will obviously look after that child. Is your decision. If I decide to have this child, it's my decision. Then I will raise that child, and one day the child will come and look for me. So if we were in a society where people were more responsible and the government was putting a lot of pressure on men to take care, men will not behave that way. Because, like you say, for a man to have an affair when they already married and they engage somewhere with a family, and they go and sleep with a woman outside, and then when the woman say, "Oh, I'm pregnant and this is your child," and they say, "Oh, I don't think it's mine. Why are you saying it's mine?" So I find it a little bit, you know, I don't know. It's very it's difficult for those men to get away with that. And at the end of the day, if you're doubting, then you do a DNA test and you take responsibility for that child. If they're saying it's yours and you have any doubt, did you go there or you didn't go? You're not a baby. You took your both food and you went there. You were there at some point. You know what happened between you and that woman. So if you have doubt, do a DNA test and take over the care. I mean, look after that child because it's your responsibility.
Yeah.
I, I
I
love
agree.
I love Odile's question. Odile asked, "Were you there or were you not there? Which one?" So, were you there or were you not there? That brings me to remember the case of the case of Melby and Eddie Murphy.
Hmm.
Was that case, isn't it? It was Melby and Eddie Murphy. Remember that case some years, probably over 11 years ago, when that
Mm-hmm.
case came out, when he actually went all the way to court and denied that they had to go and do a blood test. So this is a question that I will throw out to you, lady. If you can just tell me a bit. Why will at some point you have denied that it's not yours, which obviously, like Odile just said, you've been there, you've gone there, you yourself, you know that you have gone there, and but you deny. Why will you push yourself all the way to court hearing, where it attracts a lot of attention, a lot of people? Then suddenly the result will come as positive. Why would do you think a man will go to that extent in a way of denial? I don't know. I don't understand. Can you?
I I could when there are other reasons, because for example, if a man is going out with this woman, and then at some point maybe you realize that I'm not the only one here. There may be somebody, because sometimes some women are good at playing games. So the man obviously is not serious. This is not a serious relationship, and they may have doubt that you're seeing someone else. So when you come and you say to them, "Oh, I'm pregnant, and this is your child." But I wouldn't, for me as a man, I would. I mean, if I'm not a man, but I wouldn't go to court straight away. If there are ways to organize a DNA without going to court, I will do that. If I have that doubt, I wouldn't really allow myself to go so public about things. I will organize something with witnesses, and make sure that the DNA samples are taken within an environment where we know that is properly done without necessarily going to court. That's my opinion.
That's very good, Jackie. What do you think about that? That a man. We have a question from Richard, so we're going to read that question in a minute. Jackie,
Um,
what do you think a man will go all the way to court in order for him to extend to deny, but then get to court and the court will tell him the results have come, they are positive. You are definitely the father of that child. Why do you think a man will go all the way to court proceeding?
um, my, I believe a man will go to court for his child if obviously he was married, he was involved deeply in a relationship with the other person, and the other person denied them from seeing, like having access to the child or something, then I would say yes. But obviously going to court, getting a DNA to prove if the child is yours, whatever, it does cost money, it does take time, and obviously men can be victims here as well. So it's not only women. I mean, there are quite a few cases where men bring up a child thinking it's their own when it's not.
Hmm. That is a good case. We are Jackie, we are coming back to that because you have raised a very good point there. That there are many cases when a man will actually raise up a child thinking that it's his, but at the end of the day, is not. Richard has just sent us a question or two. Richard is saying, "How do you feel as a woman when another woman bring false allegation against men?" Richard, what do you mean like that? What kind of false allegation against men? Is it just false allegation that this child is a man's child where when it's not? What kind of false allegation? Then Richard also say, I've heard of few men who have taken responsibility for a child they don't believe it is theirs. Is this the sign of a true loving man? Okay. R- Richard is saying he's heard an allegation where a man has taken another child's child, and they believe the child is theirs. And what do you think about that? So probably Richard is saying
No,
case where that
it's a
man
bit
to
confusing.
the woman, is married to the woman, then discover that that child that the woman is about to have, the woman has lied or is not theirs, but you just take it as if the child was theirs. So he's asking, what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a little bit. This is if they talk in between. I mean, for example, we know where I come from. that is quite common, where men who cannot have children, they will even be happy for their wife to they want a child. They know themselves that I cannot have a child, and this is something they will talk among themselves. And the woman will carry somebody else's child, and that man will be very happy to raise that child, knowing that this is not my child because I cannot have a child, and for whatever reason that person want to have a child. So if, for example, the couple, and this is something that between the two of you, you have your woman or your somebody you really love, and they're pregnant, and they tell you, because how do you discover? Have they told you? Have you find out they have an affair? How do you know that that child is not yours? Well, if the woman say, okay, actually the child I'm carrying is not yours, and that man decide to stand by the woman because they love them, this is great. This is something that it is between the two of them. And my guess would be that they will discuss about it. They will all agree that, okay, this is what we want to do. But if you just have doubt that this child is not mine, then I would think you need to find out, you to clear those doubts in your mind. Then quietly you can just say to the woman, I'm really sorry, I have this doubt that this child is mine. Can I do a DNA test? Then I make informed decision whether I want to stand by you with the child or not.
Hmm. That's great there. So we have Richard. Richard is coming soon. Richard has joined us. Richard, welcome. We are glad to have you back after
Can
so
you hear
many.
me?
We
Yes,
can
we
hear
can
you.
hear you.
Yeah.
Greetings, ladies. Greetings.
Hello.
Great. We are glad to have you back after so many weeks, but that's fine. You put questions there for a woman to answer, and I believe Jackie Jill has answered one of your questions. I don't know if you were listening, but then I will put the same question to Jackie. Oh, you are here. You can better explain your question, Richard.
Well, I tell you something. Both of the ladies um, began answering both questions delightfully, and I wanted Jackie to expand on the comment that she made, if she could.
Right. Okay. Yeah. What was I talking about?
If you'd like to remind Jackie the comment, please, Richard.
I don't have the question immediately at hand, but there were 2
Wasn't
points that
it
oh, yes.
on denial? If someone fell pregnant and they were having an affair, they thought the person was on contraceptive pills or something, and then they fall pregnant, so they deny it and they want a DNA because obviously they didn't think that person will fall pregnant, and they've got their own family to bring up as well. So obviously it becomes really complicated because there's support in their own family. They can't really financially support another child from someone else. And if the wife finds out, the wife will be livid. She will be absolutely fuming. So, this is all secret, and what does that person do? Do they actually sit down and talk to their wife with what's happened? Maybe they were going through a rough patch at that time. And, obviously the marriage is all up in the air now. It's all happy, go lucky. And it's like the person, like, is the father originally, even though he's not owning up to it. Is he going to tell his wife? I mean, he's really scared at this moment. He's in denial, and he's not 100% sure is this his child.
Mm.
My goodness.
Wow.
My goodness. What webs we weave. What webs we weave, ladies. My goodness me. Look, I tell you, do you think it takes a real man to take on the responsibility of a child that they may strongly believe is not theirs, but out of respect for a child's life, out of respect for a child having a father figure, the man, whether they feel that they've been disrespected, sold a lie by a woman, takes on the responsibility of being a father. Is that a real, true, loving man? Or is that a fool of a man?
Right. Can I answer that?
Oh, by all means.
All right. Okay. I think, yeah. By taking on another child, not realizing it might be you and it might not, but obviously as time goes on, I think the child being older, you should explain that, you know, I love you like my son and daughter, but there may be a slight possibility that I may not be your real dad, and then take it from there.
Ooh. Wow. Sister
Well,
Odile?
what I think is all down to communication, because I think a lot of problem the world is having is because it's lack of communication. Okay, I don't know the circumstances. Are we talking about a married couple, or we are talking about somebody who has gone outside and just had an affair? So if we are talking about a couple, somebody who is living with their wife or fiance or partner, and then your partner comes to you and say, "Oh, I'm pregnant," and it's yours, then there must be some reason why you will doubt that. So if you have doubt that actually this is not my child, you will need to sit down and talk nicely to that person and say, "Look, I really, really I really have this strong feeling that this child may not be mine. But there are two things here. I want to take care of you and the child. But at the same time, I really want to know if he's my child." Because if you go about it without expressing yourself, there will always be this deep problem in you. There is no way you will be happy raising that child. Because once you know the truth, there are decisions that you will be able to take. I know the truth. This is not my child, but I love this woman so much. And the child was not, I mean, did not make any, did not ask to be born. And then I'm taking the responsibility to raise this child. I don't want to know about the future, but I'm going to stand by this woman and help her to raise this child. That's your decision because you are informed.
Oh,
But if you live with it, having those doubts, thinking that the woman is taking you
oh,
as a fool,
oh.
or you want to pretend that you're the best person in the world, then it is your problem. I think that is your problem because at the end of the day, you need to have a proper conversation with that person. Say, "Look, I really have doubt. I have my doubt, and this is it." Sometimes they will go, "Ooh," they will scream. If they really know it's your child, they may take it so badly. But you need to have a proper strategy to deal with that issue. But if it's not your child, then you will need to have to make that decision and don't come back. On your decision. If you're deciding to
Yeah.
stand by that child, stand by that child and the woman. If you don't want, you just tell them, "I can't deal with it." But I don't think it's a matter of being fool or that's nothing.
Can I just say something? Right. Why would you be in denial of the child being yours anyway?
But
Did you hear
sorry, are
that?
you asking me?
No, yeah, no, I'm asking Richard as well.
Okay.
Right, so
Why would I
you
be in
might be,
denial? Well,
Yeah, why would
Good question, Jackie. Very good question. And Sister Odile, very good points raised in that there are different contexts and different circumstances that come into the equation. I've got a little child next to me. It's not my child, but it's a lovely, lovely child. Lovely child. I say, oh, it's my lovely nephew. Anyway, look here. There is a real situation that came across my bows a few weeks ago, and it left me a little dumbstruck and a little surprised. I had a friend who gave me a scenario in which he'd had a liaison. So, Sister Odile, it's not a case of a married couple and suddenly out of nowhere it's a miraculous child and you've not had any relations with your spouse for months and months. Okay. This gentleman had barely a week, barely 4 or 5 days relationship with an individual, with a woman. And then lo and behold, and lo and behold, good boy. You see this, you see, good daddy figure. And lo and behold, a phone call comes from the lady years later saying there was as a result of the liaison, a child, and that child is his. Now, he immediately, upon being spoken to by my good self, he said, in no uncertain terms, this is a case of alleged child. This is a case of how could this have been in the space of 4 days? The woman should have had the intelligence and the wherewithal not to get herself up the spouse, as it were, knocked up. So he was really surprised that this could have been the situation. So given that context, I immediately personally said, look, have you gone for the DNA selection? Did you draw for it? He didn't. He said because he feels that in the universe, he went all universal, all kind of Michael Jackson, we are the world and all this, he said, I'm going to embrace this child, whether it is mine or not. I'm going to embrace and do what I can. He's not going to be bled dry. So communication was had, Sister Odile, in this situation. They did communicate, and he communicated that she's not going to go down the line of bleeding him dry for every penny he's got by way of child support. But it was a very interesting situation. Very interesting situation. What do you make of that?
Richard,
before you answer, I'd like to just say, Pastor Enoch just said that, sorry, apologize. Pastor Enoch just said, welcome to everyone while Richard was talking, so I was waiting. He said, welcome to everyone, welcome Mr. Richards, glad to have you back. And he also comment for the previous discussion that the procedure we use to determine if a child is yours is a 100% accurate, meaning that if you doubt that the child is not yours, go and do a DNA like Jill said earlier. Then it's simple, straightforward. The woman, no argument about it, no long stories about it. So Odile, you can go and answer Richard's question. Thank you.
Okay, what I was saying, Richard, it takes a second for a woman to get pregnant. It doesn't take 4 days. It takes a second. Whether you're in a relationship with a woman or not, the minute you enter that woman's body, I don't want to use the raw way. The woman, you have an unprotected, something with that woman, or the condom breaks, that woman can get pregnant in a second. It doesn't take you 4 days. Now, the thing that I would be surprised with the person is that usually a lot of men are scared of the DNA just because they know that, once it's out there, then he's obliged. He will be obliged to share whatever he's got with that child. So for him, really to make the decision to say I will support that child without really making sure it's his own child, I find it a little bit, I don't know how educated your good friends is, but at the same time, I will understand his position. Maybe he's just scared that, oh, by me making this small arrangement with this woman, that will save me the burden of whatever. But for me, I will have a DNA test to make sure I am not raising a child I don't want to raise. And what another thing is that people don't realize the impact on that child. Because once as a woman you have said this child is yours, the man, the genetic, they are all the things than just the financial aspect of it. The child is growing up knowing that I'm Jamaican, but he's not Jamaican. Are we thinking about ourselves or the child involved? So that's another question. But for your friend, that's really his own decision. But I wouldn't say he's a good Samaritan, but he cannot question the 4 days relationship because their nightstand, their second, once you're in the toilet, once that drop goes in, that's it. You can't
That sweet
take it back.
drop.
It's
That
just a tiny
sweet drop. The one drop.
Yes.
Can I just say something?
I love, can I just interrupt here? Pastor Enoch says,
Allow Jackie. Jackie spoke first. Go ahead, Jackie.
Right, okay. I'm just going to say, I find it really weird and really odd that someone contacts someone after a year of saying they're pregnant with a child. I mean, obviously, your friends seem to really sincere and really responsible, but why isn't he questioning it after a year of having no contact?
I'm not going to say. Well, here's the interesting thing, and we can go generic on this because I didn't want to go too much into his personal details or story. But the context that he gave me, I'm going to go generic here. And it alludes to one of the questions that I put earlier. How do you ladies feel? Sister Cecile, I want to hear your golden voice. Make no mistake. How do you ladies feel about a woman who, dare I use the word falsely, let's go there, falsely suggests that a child belongs to a man when all she wants is financial support, because the real father is not interested or is gone and has no idea, and because there is a gentleman who may be seen as a easy touch, has a good occupation, she feels that she can use this gentleman. How do you feel as women when other women behave in this manner?
Right, my personal opinion, whoever it was, and they've got a good job, they're financially well off, the natural dad doesn't want to know.
Yes.
He's been accused of being the father. I mean, obviously, yeah, DNA, definitely DNA, before he even gave any money up. But, it's up to the individual. If he's got a relationship with this person or wants a relationship in the future and he wants to financially support her, then that's entirely up to him. But to find out a year later that he's got a child and he's not 100% sure, has just found out, I would just say do a DNA.
Straight to the DNA. Sister Cecile.
Well, we're coming back, although you are diverting a bit as for the questions, but I like to just said something that Pastor Enoch, we're taking comment at the same time. Pastor Enoch says we have to investigate your friend's decision. Like Odile said, it tallies a bit like what Odile says, that she wouldn't say that your friend is a good Samaritan. He has his own personal decision. and Pastor Enoch is keen on the same thing, that maybe your friend has his own personal opinion or decision or motives behind accepting that without questioning more. Going back to the question that you just throw at now, I really think it's up to the man, like Jackie said, it's up to the man to do DNA. If you, for some reason or the other, that this woman child is not yours, instead of running a mile or just saying because she brought in the child, I'm going to blindly be supporting the child financially, because it's not just about money, like Odile said. It's not just
Yeah.
about money that you're going to give to that child. It's not just about financial things, it's about emotion. Are you going to be emotionally available for that child when they need you? Educationally available to teach them the roots of life? Are you going to be stable in that child's life? So it's not just about the school bag that you're going to buy, the trainers that are missing, the school jackets, the whatever it is that you're doing. It's more than just these small material things. And any woman who will actually make the proper father disappear or run away from the proper father because he's either poor or he has disappeared, and go and completely lie to another man that this is your child, you robbing that child and that man of a relationship. Because remember, Richard, if your man, you're raising a child that you know that this child is not yours, you are prepared for every eventuality. When that child becomes naughty, you know that, like Odile says, the DNA of that family might be that they are naughty people. So you know how to handle that child, because you know that this is not your character that the child is bearing. The child is bearing someone else's character. So you can be supportive. But if you're raising that child and then you think that is your child, then you and the child are completely different. You're going to get to a stage where you will literally chuck that child away and say, you're not mine. This is not me. I don't recognize me in you. So you end up
Ah.
child. You end up hating your child. But
Oh.
what you don't remember is that that child is not yours. They might have, because you have different traits and different behavior and different character. Or they just said a child might be from Trinidad, and you raising that child as a Jamaican. Then the child bring in Trinidad's behavior or Cameroon's behavior, and you're from Jamaicans, and that child, the genes are not from Jamaican. So more or less, you find yourself in balance with that child. So how do you raise a child that is imbalanced if you don't know from the onset? If you know from the onset, you can find techniques to accommodate that behavior. But if you don't know and you literally think it's yours, and the behavior, the character of the child becomes completely opposite to yours, it's a very danger and it's a big clash. So it is good, like everyone is saying, for a man, if you have any doubt, don't just throw 25 pounds, 200 pounds a month and think you're doing your bit. Find that is that child mine, and really raise the child as if it's yours. If it's yours, if it's not yours, raise the child as if you love the child, but genetically the child is not yours.
It's a very good point. It's a very good point you raised there, you know, because there's another scenario and situation that I encountered where this very point around what makes or constitutes a good father comes into the equation. I was told.
Richard, we don't. I think we lost
We
Richard.
lost you.
Went out.
Yeah, Odile, you were going to answer that question if you go ahead until Richard joins us back.
Yes, I mean, I agree completely, with what you just said. Men, one thing I noticed in my experience of life is that there are very few men who are prepared for a child, even in their own relationship, unless they have reached an age where they are actually ready. They're the one asking the woman. So most of the time in any relationship, the woman will want a child first, and then the man will be convinced very later on that, oh, it's actually the right time, or they're never ready for anything. So for me, I think men are very quick either to take decisions that are not really, they don't think through. They don't think through. One day they make that decision. They're not thinking. Because I'm just thinking here, is Richard's friend more scared of the fact that by going through the DNA route, he will pay more than what he can give straight away to the woman? Or does he really know that, oh, this child may actually be my child or whatever? But I think in any case, if he's got doubt, he shouldn't throw himself. Because it's not just about the small amount of money, like you say, that he's going to give to that child that will make him a father. He needs to give some time to that child. He needs to be present in that child's life. And a
I
lot of
think
men these days, they think like those who there are quite a few types of men, Richard. I'm sorry to say that there are quite a few men out there. Those who completely run away, even though they know they is their child. They run away, they have nothing to do with you. They will traumatize you at the beginning and say, I don't want anything. I wanted an abortion and you don't, I'm not here. And they will go. And there are those who will say, oh, I didn't really want that child, but I'm going to be there as much as I can. Then they're not really in that child's life. It's either they still want the woman behind because they know, because they have that link with that child. At any given time, they can come back to you and use that child to still go in bed with you, or they have something in their mind. They are not
agenda.
really they are not really staying for that child. They are staying more because now they have a reason. Their reason to have you is because there is a child there, but actually they are not there for that child. There are those who genuinely think, oh, it's my blood. I'm going to stand by you and I'm going to support the child. I'm going to be in that child's life as much as I can. And those are the courageous one who will go and talk to their wife to say, I made a mistake. Either you forgive me or you kill me. I will just have to tell you the truth. So this is that's my opinion.
Yeah. And
I,
I think, sorry, I'm
go
interrupting
ahead.
again. I think as well, it's not only the dad knowing if he's the real father or not, it's obviously the child growing up thinking he's got a dad and then the person disappearing. I mean, that's a heartbreaking thing as well. So you have to think of the child in this situation. And it doesn't matter what minority they come from, ethnic minority, because Asian people can bring up like a white child as well as their own. So I mean, obviously, yeah, culture does come into it, but I mean, the child thinking he's got a dad supportive, and then obviously he comes to the age of 8, maybe 9, and then the dad disappears because the dad finds out I'm not actually his dad, and he disappears. So it's not all down to money. It's about compassion, love, and being there, being supportive to that child as well. So,
I
yeah,
know.
that's
I
what I
think
would
some great
say.
points you've raised there. Some great points there, Jackie. Some great points. I know that there's been scenarios where men have said that they don't want to throw money at the situation. Some men can be braggadocious and show off and feel that because they've got a few pounds or a few dollars, they can throw it by way of super large gifts, birthday gifts or Christmas gifts for a child. But that doesn't necessarily cut it, whether it is the child biologically belonging to you or not. But I've had situations where men have said, look, I'm going to give a word of advice. For example, one gentleman said to a lady, I would advise you, and I'd like your insight on this, I'd advise you to raise the child abroad, in the Caribbean or in Africa, because the education, the social mores and etiquette will be stronger for that child growing up. So a word of wisdom, a word to the wise, has really stood the child and the mother in good stead. My question to you, Jackie, and Sister Cecile, and Sister Odile, is there a cultural difference when it comes to a child not belonging to a man? Is there any cultural differences that, in terms of what happens in England as opposed to what happens in the Cameroon or Nigeria or other countries?
No, not really. I think obviously if someone's been born and bred, as they say, in the UK, then a lot of people are quite westernized, quite modern, and then you've got the Muslim culture as well, which is quite strong, and people just believe in what they believe, and they just go along with like everyday life. Education's good in the UK. I don't know what it's like in Africa or Jamaica. I don't know. I've never been, but I know education's really good in the UK, and that's all I know really.
I think we
And I
missing
think everyone.
Sorry. If I may say something, what Richard, I think yes, of course, there is a massive cultural difference between a child who is born here and Cameroon, where I come from, because I'm just going to take my personal example. I have a son, and you know, in here, people are more liberal. The way the education of your child is, you can't really shout at your child. You can't, when they say no, no, you're telling no, they say yes, or they say this and that. And once they go to school, they tell them, you can't do this, you can't do that. I made a commitment to send my child to Africa every year from the age of 4. So,
Ah,
yes. And it's not something I'm bragging. I am proud because I have a gentleman in the house. I am not saying that if he did not have that, he wouldn't be who he is. But I think he had a big influence when he went there, because I have somebody who value things more than at some point, because there was a time he spent 2 or 3 years without going. He went there. When he came back, everything were like, "Mommy, is our TV bigger?" Because he saw the hardship, he saw the way people are, and I don't call him twice. I call him once. He said, "Mom, he's there." So for me, our culture, I can see how the benefit of having a little bit of my culture where respect is paramount. You as a child, you don't talk to your parent anyhow. If I talk, you wait for me to finish talking before you can answer. And there are way you will answer to me because I'm your parent. This is our culture. It's nothing traumatizing. It's just the way we grow up with respect. I know that I can't insult you anyhow. I can't disrespect you. It's just a no to my society. So that alone is a part of my culture that I'm so pleased that my son has that, because when I look at certain things, I feel like if he did not have that culture, and also a few things like appreciating small things, him going there where things are not that easy accessible, and when he's here, he can appreciate things a little bit more. So this is a part of my culture where I feel like it's important. Culture play a big part, as you ask the question.
Thank you,
well
Richard.
answered. Well answered.
Don't be
Thank you.
original question. Maybe we will come back to the culture question next week. Can I just say what Pastor Enoch has said, sent few comments. He says, people sometimes refuse to come out in this situation, because it might be there's certain things going on in the marriage which they scared about. Then that's number one. Number two, he says the person might not be doing well in bed. Oh wow, that's number two. Number three, he says the person might be having secrets too. Number four, the woman might be having much say in the relationship. It could be money, it could be wages, it could be etc. etc. Then he said, Mr. Richard, when the woman comes with a child, there is no problem. But if the woman is already with you and this happened, there is a lot to do in it. So that's Pastor Enoch, comments
Strong
on
points.
the
Strong comments. Yeah,
on
for sure.
our point tonight. Although we have diverted a bit, we are still going to come back to the main topic tonight. Richard was asking if there's a difference in terms of raising a child. I will agree with Odile. There's a big difference in terms of raising a child here and back home. Odile has listed everything that I can list. So basically, I probably will not go back there again. Back home, if you're talking to a child, they wait until you finish, then they can answer. Back home, if you're talking to a child, like my culture, if you're talking to someone who is higher than you, you don't look at them in the eye, like eye to eye, because it's a sign of disrespect. So you kind of like, as a child, you're meant to be looking down and listening, not kind of like looking as if you're challenging them. So there's a lot of differences in the way you can educate a child here, and in a way I'm not saying that it's strictly 100% good compared to here. There are good points and there are very bad points. There are bad points in a way that a child back home is not able to defend themselves that easily, because if they've been accused, they cannot easily say, they must say once I didn't do it. If they force it on them, they will either cry or keep quiet. So you can easily accuse a child wrongly back home because they cannot stand up for themselves. But a child here will stand up for themselves. I say, no, I didn't do it. And I say, no. So there are good points and very bad points. I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Let me just get into the meat, some more meat in this veritable feast of a question. In Cameroon and in England, I can speak for Jamaica to a certain degree, but I'd love to hear from an English perspective and a Cameroonian perspective, for example, to what extent is it the case where a man feels proud or can boast that he has had a child in another relationship outside his marriage, or if he is single and a woman claims that the child is his, to what degree is the man saluted, applauded, respected for his virility?
Wow. If I may answer,
right.
I see Jackie's playing with her hair. Jackie's playing with her hair. I think she's got something to say. Odile, you're coming in soon.
Okay.
Right, okay. I would say, obviously, if he's married, he's got a family and he's had an affair, and obviously the other woman's pregnant. I think he would have to really own up to his wife and explain. If he knew the child was his, for definite. And yeah.
Is it a bragging? Do you think it's a bragging situation where a man feels?
Not really, unless you're one of these guys that you think you're super ego boost. Oh, I've got another woman pregnant. I don't think so.
Okay, that's good to hear. Sister Odile.
Okay.
You're laughing.
I mean, bragging is too much to say. I must say something that may take us a little bit out of the context, but I have to say this because it's part of it. I will say to you, in Cameroon, we have a polygamous relationship. There are a lot of people who are married who are, I mean, they have multiple women. And also, cheating in Cameroon is barely an act of divorce. Is barely a reason why a woman will divorce their husband because they cheated on them.
My goodness.
Yes, I
My
will tell you.
goodness.
I'm continuing.
You
And
learn something new every
also,
day, you know.
I must say, in Cameroon, children, the way people think about children is more wealth, is more. It's not. We have individual people who will be really making such a massive issue about it, but I don't think it's as hard as here because in Cameroon, if you're married and then that happen, the man will talk to the woman and say, look, I'm sorry this has happened. This child did not, I didn't mean to. It may be accidentally, it may be whatever happened. And most of the time, when the
Excellently.
woman may know,
Accidentally.
sometimes because it's accident, isn't it? I don't
Oops,
think
Daisy.
any.
Oops.
Listen, Richard, I don't think any man will really go out there to cheat on their wife and plan to cheat and have a child. I don't think
Oh,
so.
I don't think I'd be happy. If my husband cheated on me, I'd go absolutely insane. Yeah,
Do
I
you
don't
want
think
me to tell
I
you
would have
something
to
about
finish it.
cheating? Maybe this is a
Would
topic,
you?
Pastor Cecile. This is a topic we need to talk about. Do you think this Western is a little bit hypocrite about all this relationship compared to the other side of the world? Because it's a topic I think it would be an interesting topic to discuss.
Let's bring it on next week. So let's reserve that for next week. That will be very interesting.
We're talking tactical formations. England, it might be coming home. We're talking tactical formations
Oh
here.
yeah,
It's not a
they're
good
playing.
tactic, she says.
our time is nearly well spent. Nearly well spent. So, Odile, if you can conclude on
No,
Richard's question.
I have said it's not about bragging, but I think people take it easily enough in Cameroon. They accept children easily, though we have some nasty women who will say, oh, I'm not going to look after this child. But most of the time, people would accept it easily that, oh, my husband had an affair and they had a child, and it would be
Yeah.
okay for them to look after that child. But I
Well,
think here it's a little bit more complicated.
right. Well, I just want to say I had a neighbour in Ghana. Obviously had over 10 children from different women. That obviously the daughters and sons all get together and they're still like quite close, and they go over to Ghana, and like the wives are accepted it even though they might be divorced from him. But yeah, the children are quite close and quite bonded. Yeah,
Brilliant.
which is
Pastor Enoch has said, Sister Odile, you will definitely make Mr. Richard laugh on the cheating one, the cheating topic. I mean, on the cheating topic that is coming next week. So next week, if you're
yeah.
hearing the sound of our voice, we are bringing the cheating topic next week. It's going
My
to be,
Lord, my Lord.
it's going to be.
Their
Before
work
we
next week.
conclude, Richard, I just want to take 1 or 2 minutes to answer your question. You said at which point or what point a man will boast about a child in Cameroon, either the child that they have within the marriage or the child that they have outside the marriage. In Cameroon, children are more like an inheritance, like the Bible says, children are the future. So really, when people are having the children, they look at them as this child is going to replace me tomorrow, so my child is my future. And leads to all the responsible men. They look at their children as they really, really their future. So often enough, they don't really play with their children's future. If they get to know that this child is actually my child, either within the marriage or outside the marriage. But often enough, if it's outside the marriage, sometimes it's a bit hidden, until the man finds the courage or the boldness to tell the wife that this child is actually your child, or someone else comes in and gossip about it, that your husband has gone and he has a child somewhere. And then the wife will take the boldness to confront the husband and say, well, I've been told you have a child. Because sometimes men are very scared to come out in the open with these things until the wife decides, you know what, I'm going to confront him. I'm going to want to know the truth, and he has to tell me the truth. So the wife will said, okay, I've been told you have a child somewhere. Is he your child or not? And then it's then up to the two people to go about it and agree about it and plan what to do or what not to do. Often enough, men will negotiate with the wife and bring that child home so they can raise them all together in the same house. That if the mother from outside is not too complicated, they will bring the child in the house and raise that child. But if the mother from outside is a bit complicated or whatever, then the child must stay there, and then the father will literally support that child from whatever the mother is. Thank you. So our topic tonight is the time is well spent. We're going
I've
to
not
say
had my say yet. My concluding thoughts.
I'm just about to say, Richard, if you exercise a little bit patient, I'm just about to say that each one of our guests going to give us their final words on the topic tonight. They claim is mine. They claim is mine. Odilu, what do you think? Conclude. They say this child is mine. What do you
Okay.
think?
Yeah, what I would say is that any case, woman, you shouldn't be so foolish to tell a man is your child if you know deep down that is not your child. But I do agree that there are times a woman herself is confused. Maybe she went out with 2 or 3 men and she doesn't really know. Those are those who plays around. So if you're not sure, just try the one you think they can do a DNA test. At least that will save you and your child a lot of burden in the future. But in any case, a man, if they tell you it's yours and you have any doubt, please, 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 DNA are very cheap. Just do a DNA and talk to the woman nicely. Say, listen, I'm not saying that you're a prostitute or something, but I just need to be sure. There is nothing wrong with me wanting to know the truth. And then you do the DNA with weaknesses. If it's yours, you take responsibility. As simple as that.
Wow, I love that. Frank talk. Jackie, what do
Right,
you
I
have to
would
say?
just like to say, I believe with OD that obviously doing DNA, if you're not sure, to start with, because it's not you who's going to end up getting hurt, it's the child who's going to get hurt by thinking they've got a dad and then finding out they haven't afterwards. So it's very heartbreaking. So it's be sure than not sure at all. And if you want to be there for a child and you're not too bothered if you are the dad or you're not, well done to you. That takes a really strong person to want to do that.
Brilliant, Mr. Richards. You brought in this topic, so I suppose you have a lot to advise people out there. What say you to our listener before we end?
Children coming home, they're coming home, they're coming home,
Is
they're
it
coming.
on?
Children coming home. Listen, we've got a real spaghetti bolognese of a situation on our hands with this subject. We've got a real carbonara of a situation here. I am a firm advocate of the DNA formation. If in doubt, check it out. Ladies, before you drink, before you spill, before you drive or get driven, before things get too far, think before you pick up the phone, before you send a WhatsApp message, before you go onto Facebook with your allegations. Think and think carefully. Gentlemen,
It's not always a woman.
DNA,
It's
you
guys.
can't go
Men
wrong.
lie sometimes. Men can lie and say they're single and they're not.
Uh-oh. I tell you, it's a spaghetti bolognese, it's a carbonara of a situation. Children coming home, it's coming home. We've got to think twice.
I'm going to close. Children are coming home. On this note, you heard the free horse.
Are they really yours? Are they really yours?
You heard Richard. They all say if you're in that, go for DNA. Make sure that you actually check that that child is yours. Like Jackie said, it's not good for a child to think this is the father. At one point, they left the father. So if you're going through that situation, as a man, as a woman, have a DNA, check that this child is really the man's child. Until then, next week, this time around, we are
My
coming back to
goodness.
starting cheating. What was the topic again, Odile? What was the topic? Hypocrite Western behavior after cheating. How did you put it?
No,
Odile?
well, I was just thinking about something like this polygamy. I think everybody they should just allow people to men to have two, three, four wives. All this cheating will be a little bit. I don't.
Okay, we're coming back next
Sister
week.
Odile, I
Let's
like
say
the cut
goodbye
of your
and
jib. But you know what? My wife is.
Thank you so much for staying with us until the end. It's been wonderful discussing this topic. I was brought up to believe that any worries not talked about become bigger problems. There's no wrong reason to reach out if you're going through these issues or you know anyone who is going through this issue. Please reach my contact number below and I will ensure to reach you back. My passion in life is to see you having a healthier, a happier, and a more balanced life.